Oh man. Okay, we're back. We're doing this. It's 5:30 in the afternoon and it's time to drink some coffee. So welcome. Haven't done this in a while. We're doing a brew along today with Try Hard Coffee and Spokesman Coffee. They've oh, you know what? I don't even have a bag of coffee with me. I have failed miserably. I do have the actual coffee that I'm drinking right now, but it is a fun little project that they put together that we're going to hear more about the origin stories behind it. But a local Austin band, the Octopus Project, did a sonification thing with the coffee. So I imagine it's like, let's put some alligator clips on this coffee plant and measure the electrical impulses as it grows. Record all that, turn it into MIDI data, and make songs out of it. In fact, I'm going to put this on right now and put the background music as the ambient version, which is one of two tracks. There's the ambient and the chaos. This that we're hearing in the background right now, that's the ambient. Oh man, it's amazing. Okay, so without further ado, don't want to look at my ugly mug this whole time. Let's introduce these guys. So I'm gonna split them over here. All right, why don't you guys go ahead and walk through, tell us all who you are, say hi.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first again.
Hi, my name's Ethan. I'm one of the coffee roasters here at Slate Coffee.
That's me. I'm John. I am one of the owners of Try Hard and also one of the roasters of Try Hard. Aaron's our head roaster at Try Hard.
Rock on. Welcome. Thanks for joining, guys. All right, so I guess hi. Hey. Oh, there's I've got redoubling in the background. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, so I guess the main question that I want to hear from you guys first, as part of your introduction, is like how did you get into coffee? And I'm gonna be very bad at like directing these questions, so I'm just gonna say them out and then hope that you guys answer them in order that makes sense.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
I skipped school to go to the cafe. So I just used to skip school and go to the cafe, and then I found a good cafe. And that was
Yeah, I think similar story. I got out of high school and picked the one job that you could do from any city you lived in that paid reasonably well and just never left.
It's pretty, yeah. I think it's a tale as old as time, right?
Yeah.
How'd you get into?
I was playing music with a bunch of dudes that make coffee. That looks fun.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, I think it was. Well, I remember because like we never had a cafe in my city, and then like because my family we grew up in the sticks, and then we moved out to the city, and we just used to hang out at Denny's all the time because you could hang out there and like smoke cigs and Denny's and chill, and then our social studies teacher for like when I like in the country, like he like everyone in the school was like it was like super in the sticks, so everyone just like sucked, you know, and he opened up a cafe in the city, and it was like a straight up like leftist cafe, so it was like all these like revolutionaries like painted on the walls and shit, and like I would just skip school to go hang out there because everyone was insane, and I went out for the mug, and that was when I had like good coffee because my cousin's band played there.
Yeah.
And I went there and I was like, oh, this drip coffee tastes different than the other people's. And then I went there again because I went to school there because I was like, this place seems cool. And then back then they called it I had a triple ristretto.
Oh,
you know, like, yeah, like 25 grams,
Lick it
like
out with a
18
spatula.
out. Yeah. Just like super intense, super like it was like like it's because it's like sweet when it's like so under extracted like that, and it's good. and it's like
maple syrup.
yeah. And I was the craziest thing I ever had. I'm just gonna hang out here now for 18 hours a day. So I just hung out there until literally they were like, "Do you just want a job here?" And I was like, "Sure." Yeah, I got to get a job. I can't work. I only work in the scrapyard over the summer, so I can't get money while I'm in school. So I got to work at the cafe. Yeah, that's how I got into it. Yeah. It was crazy. Like it wasn't even how it is now. Like you could.
It wasn't cool.
No, it was super cool. You could. They were roasting coffee, smoking cigs while they're pouring latte art. Like that only existed for like a year, like in coffee ever. Before it was wild back then. Like people were fighting in cafes. Like they were, like cafe culture was so much different.
Yeah,
I think we're all just kind of
a lot less Subway time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's a little bit more labby now.
Yeah, medicinal.
Yeah, it was crazy back then. We used to get in so much trouble with everyone. It was crazy, and we also ran the house. We had a punk house across the street from the cafe that we all I crashed there. I didn't even stay in my dorm. Wow. We just stayed. We live across it. We'd run the whole block. Like every 4th of July, we'd just shoot fireworks at everything. Like we would just run. We ran that entire block. It was sick. Like it was sick. It was like the only cafe in Michigan.
Wait, this is a very different conversation than I was expecting, but I'm so excited by it. I want to know what happened. Like how did that block fall apart? Was it like just a gradual, people are just dipping and going somewhere else, or was there
when a moth flies too close to a flame? I think it was a mixture of a lot of stuff, and I mean, like, we all broke off and did rad shit. Like, I mean, like, you know, like they're a lot of those kids like went out to Chicago and worked for like Wormhole and Halfwit. They all started Gaslight, and cool. So like everyone went and did their own thing, but you know, it was like back then they were still calling it Bohemian. Like this, we were talking about this. Like this is like pre the word hipster. Like now it's like you're post that, you know, like.
Right.
But back then it was just mayhem. It was complete mayhem. Like I don't even know how I got through shifts. Like it was nuts. It was nuts.
PBR in the fridge at 11 a.m.
That's Red Bull vodka. That was the drink. We've been shooting them. Like, and it's like Sunday. We have a line out the door, and like it was just nuts.
Yeah, but we didn't have any automated equipment yet. I mean, even the credit cards had their own separate processors.
We were using an old register that came out on tape, and we were on. I've told you this story a bunch. We were on like the 6th Synesso off the line. Yeah, we were on Victrola's old Synesso, and it was just sick. It was when coffee was exciting and cool. And
what Ethan's saying is that we've been in coffee since before we created any of the infrastructure that we all experience right now.
Yeah.
And we kind of were there before things made any sense, trying to make good coffee in contexts that, you know, are.
Well, you're just
finding
like the
dark
things.
ages now.
Well, you were not weighing anything.
No, you weren't weighing
everything was visual. Everything was
visual. Looks like about 340 grams.
Yeah. Like it was. I don't think we had a skip in the cafe. Like
there were no skips.
It was nuts.
No, the 40s was a crazy time.
Yeah. I think for me, there's definitely a certain amount of that where it's like, we can leave that behind, but I also like kind of getting back to elements of it, you know.
Yeah.
Because it was like, for a while there, you know, cafes get so boring, you know, and it's like I remember I used to walk in and people just be throwing shit at each other, fighting all the time.
I remember that.
Wait,
really?
Okay, so I want to hear more about that because that is that's like pretty similar with my cafe experience, but in a different realm. Throwing shit at each other? What do you? Tell me more about that.
Well, we used to have this. We had to get rid of it. We used to have a round table in the cafe, and it got so bad. Like the fighting got so bad that we had to destroy the table and then hang it up on the wall. And then anything, dude. It was all day long. It was from 6 a.m. until I think we closed at like 10. And it was right by a college, and it was the only cafe in the city. So it's everyone from the city at the same cafe, and everyone, and it's right by a college, so everyone's got that like, oh, I'm in college, like, oh, I'm so smart, so it's just fights all the time about anything and just anything, and it was insane. Like that was sick. But yeah, don't put a communal roundtable in a cafe unless you're ready for just constant fighting.
Yeah, before they had iPod shuffles.
Yeah. Like to bring in a desktop. I remember they used to
plug it in. So,
yeah, no, for real. People used to do that. They used to bring in desktops. It was crazy. But yeah, back in the 40s or whatever.
Yeah, back in the 40s.
Back in the 40s. Yep.
Swear. Yeah. But yeah, that's how I got in the coffee.
Yeah.
All right, cheers. Thank you. That kind of brought me back. Thanks. John, you have a similar story, it sounds like?
Yeah, I think all of us were just trying not to grow up. And I think we're still trying not to grow up.
Oh,
it's one of the remaining industries where you can
exactly what you're talking about.
Be very connected to what you make and make a living without giving up yourself,
Yeah.
I've just been trying to prolong it as long as humanly possible.
No, same. Same.
Yep, I understand that. So where did you start though?
In coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I worked for all the up and coming roasters on the West Coast. I've worked for several of the, I would say, more influential people that kind of took things into the light roast camp.
Yeah.
Slate Coffee being one that most people in the Northwest would know. I kind of was a part of that transition away from dark is better to coffees tasting like where they're from, and the conversation about variety or elevation or processing method. Like when I started in coffee, we weren't talking about any of that. It was like, oh, this blend's awesome. Or, I remember coffees used to be like a 9 coffee blend, and that would be like your traditional espresso blend would have 9 different origins in it.
Yeah.
And I kind of, at these, roasters that were trying to take people to a place where they could taste where coffees are from and differences between coffees. I was kind of a part of that movement of going lighter and lighter and lighter without necessarily losing sweetness, which kept me hooked, because I think as anybody that's into culinary stuff, you appreciate nuance and subtlety between Pinot Noir and a Pinot Grigio. Like they're very different, yet they're still wine. And I think in coffee we did the same thing. It's all coffee, but we all started realizing how different these different fruits were from one another, and it sucked me in the rabbit hole, because every time you try something new that you haven't had before, it keeps you engaged. Yeah. And I was a part of a scene that was having things for the first time every single year. That was like, we've never had this before, we've never had this before. Like anaerobic is like the new, we've never had it before. Yeah. And for me and Ethan, like an anaerobic coffee, this is like the 10th time we've had our minds blown within the industry, because we've been around long enough to be like exposed to natural coffees. Like that was new, and they were weird and not good back then. Yeah. And now they're like banging. Yeah. So I think the thing about coffee as an industry worker is that you get sucked down this pipeline of like always being exposed to new things that are happening. Yeah. Unlike more established industries that have more cultural, historical like practices where things have really been refined. Like I've been a part of coffee really since it birthed into what it is now. Yeah. I've watched the whole transformation, Yeah. I mean, when I started working in it, I didn't even care about it like anybody. I mean, nobody cared about the coffee. We were just about the cafe, and then we became about the coffee over time.
Yeah, I think this industry's cool because it rewards people doing weird shit, and that's super important to do. Like, yes. If you lose that, you won't be open anymore to cool ideas or new inventions, and you won't try to like poke around and try to find cool stuff, like, and I think that's really cool to have an industry that rewards stuff like that. Like, I think that is super important because it hopefully it draws more people in and gets more, ultimately the idea is to get like a more diverse and like wider like kind of group of kids coming up that are into coffee. And I think, you know, things like anaerobic and stuff like that, like, are things that can get like younger kids into it, because it's like, you know, it's so easy to like pin down the taste, you know. And
it's
like,
very distinct.
it's the same thing of like you know, everyone is my first favorite coffee was a natural Harar or a natural Yirgacheffe, like that.
It was Gucci, baby.
Yeah. It's like those stories are like, you know, those, you hear those a lot in coffee, and you know,
chasing the blueberry.
Yeah, chasing that, and I don't know, like I think now is like a super interesting time to be in it, because like I think there's a lot of different areas we can kind of push it into.
Well, you know what has changed the most since then? Who are we hanging out with tonight, right?
Ernie. Yeah.
I mean, you remember hanging out with the coffee producers 12 years ago? I mean, in like an hour, we're about to go hang out with the producer who's bringing us the coffee that we're about to do the next collab with. And I don't remember hanging out with people, you know?
Oh yeah, secret. Don't.
No,
we're not spilling the beans right now.
WhatsApp.
What was that? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, WhatsApp's been crazy for that too. Like just internet connection overall, I think is like a really cool kind of a new thing to explore, because like, you know, like I had when anaerobics first started popping off, we got this like nutso one. I told you about that one. Like this nutso one from Colombia that was just insane. Like it was like not insane necessarily in a good way, but just completely off the wall. Like some oxygen got into the fermentation, so it was like it had more acetic acid. It was like a little bit like vinegary.
Yeah.
And I remember it just giving me like so tough. Like it was so tough to do, and like, but I was able to talk to like the roasting champion from Colombia and like one of the producer of that coffee, the person that processed it. I was able to talk to him over WhatsApp and like nail down a profile based on just using WhatsApp, and it didn't cost anyone anything, and people, I think, are just so genuinely interested in this type of shit that like they're willing to work with you, because like everyone in this wants better coffee for everyone. Like the idea isn't to like make better coffee and just hold it for you. The idea is to like expand your local scene and expand it globally. You know, when you go to Mexico, like I was saying, like Mexico has a crazy cafe culture, and like to be able to kind of see coffee go vertical like that, like from a farm to a cafe in the same country, you know, like 100 miles away, like that's crazy. That's something that we don't even get here. Like we're so kind of disconnected from coffee. I think.
Well, especially when we started, it was so disconnected.
It was super hard when I started. It was even, and like, dude, I was thinking about it. Like I found some pictures like the other day from like 12 years ago from the mug, and we're serving microlots. Wow. And I was like, whoa, we were getting like microlots. I just couldn't really remember them. You know, I don't really keep a log, but it was like, man, we were buying good coffee back then. I bet it was tasting really good too. You know, the global warming's been messing up everything. So you know, it's a super organic product. So it's like, hopefully you see coffee quality go up. And I mean, I definitely think you see processing going up. But
absolutely, education is expanded immensely.
Yeah. But like it can't grow, you know.
Well, I mean, this is beautiful. You guys are saying all of the right things as far as I'm concerned. We haven't had super in-depth conversations about this stuff, but I'm just like, yes, all of this. Especially like well, I just dropped my own thought there. There was something that you said, Ethan, that really struck a chord with me about how
nice.
Why am I not able to pick this up? Never mind, we'll skip past that, and if I remember it, I'll just scream.
He was ranting and raving about climate change for a second there.
I mean, the climate change thing is a big deal, but that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the culture and how it's shifted and how it's slowly changing. Oh, the chasing the blueberries made me giggle a little bit, but I'm like, I'm also really glad that that's becoming a more common experience, because that's a very good gateway kind of drug entry starting point. For a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, I want to check this shit out.
Yeah, I think like I think when you have really obvious notes,
distinct notes. Yeah.
when you have distinct obvious notes, it's really easy to like get someone hooked early on. But I think like the older you get, the more you're into like the nuance and like the jazzy stuff. Like
Absolutely.
I don't know, the older I get, I kind of like, you know, I kind of find myself going back to like what all of like the old heads were saying when we were coming up, you know, about like, oh, you guys and your naturals, you know, and it's like you know, like a really good like wash coffee and like really good like something with just crazy terroir is it's just so much fun to roast, and
it roasts easier, that's for sure.
It roasts easier, and I do like that. They're more responsive, and I think it like, I don't know, the thing I've been paying attention to in the past like say year and a half, 2 years is like structure, like cup structure. Cup structure has been huge for me over like the last couple of years, like because like I've had so many like coffees that are like amazing up front, and then like 20-30 minutes in and it just crumbles. Yeah, it just falls apart, and it's like, I'd rather have something that's like mids up front and then just keeps growing and keeps getting like amazing, and like
absolutely,
I like coffees that like unfold in like a really comforting way, because for me it's just like it's a really comforting drug.
People like, remember the last sip more than they remember the first sip.
For sure, yeah.
That is an important. Structure is everything.
Structure is huge. Like structure, like, and I find like a lot of the time it's like a really good like cleaned, well grown wash coffee. Like,
absolutely, if
it's done really well, like it'll really showcase like structure and the way that it holds throughout a brew. Like, and it's easier to work with, which is helpful. But,
all right, well, sweet. Well, let's use that as a segue into talking about this month's featured coffee. So what did you guys do to pick the coffees that you roasted?
Yeah, so I mean, first off, this is the first time I've ever roasted a coffee and then someone else has roasted a coffee and we put it in the same bag. And I think the first thing we need to address is what does that even mean? Like, I mean, part of this is like Ethan and I have different roasting styles for sure, because we cook coffee differently. But the other thing we need to acknowledge is that these machines are wildly different.
Yeah.
And the way that these coffees respond on these machines is wildly different. And so when you're drinking this blend, you're not only having two different chefs' mentalities in a dish, you're also having two totally different pieces of equipment that are going to inherently make the coffee different, just based on how that machine roasts and develops its flavor calls. So I think what's so cool about this blend is that, one, you have these wildly different coffees from one another in a context in which they taste good together, but couldn't be further apart on every level, both from what they are, being that the El Salvador is a very clean, complex wash process coffee, extremely high structure, and your Costa Rica, the chaos component is literally, you gotta try to figure out how to blow the chaff off of it enough to not, you know what I mean? It's like, it's this natural process, hybrid variety that's only been around for 2 years of existence. It is the most like progressive coffee that you could possibly buy right now, in terms of, without going into anaerobic, it's the most progressive that you can get, and yet somehow together those create balance. But on their own, you know, your coffee's out of control. It's hard to control when you're roasting it, and when you're brewing it, the flavor calls are all over the map. And mine is extremely like tame, roast completely within control. And what's cool about the blend is that you have really, and reflected by the idea of ambient chaos, like it's not just about flavor calls. The entire like components of this, one that I have is extremely controllable, roasted on a machine that produces the most balance naturally, and what you have, you're forcing it into
I mean, even
control,
like,
you know.
You can even like, you can draw it out too, because you're using an IR and I'm using flame.
Correct.
So I have like even there, like you have a little bit more control. Mine's like trying to catch a pony. Out of like the middle of nowhere.
So everything about this release reflects the names, the ambience and the chaos. The reason why we chose to pursue this direction, it even comes down to the equipment. It also comes down to a mentality. The way that I'm roasting is very traditional, very, very like straight lined. The way that you approach this is completely backwards to how I know you approach most of your coffees. You've like worked this whole thing to pull out the most vibrancy that you possibly could.
I'm like normally like if I were to approach like a full natural like this coffee, I don't think I've used the word spiky as much as I have in the past like couple of weeks. Like roasting this coffee, it's been like I've been trying to like a lot of my coffees I go for like a really nice like balance like and like we do like kind of omni roast for most of our coffees. So we do like a one roast and we use all single origin. So I always kind of go for the most like kind of sweet like easy to extract coffee. And this one I just keep wanting to punch it. Like I keep wanting to be really. I'm the most aggressive. This is my most aggressive profile, and it's the one that I'm trying to get the most acidity out of any of my coffees. Like I'm being really tough on this coffee, and it's taking it really well, and it's making it better. Like it just keeps cupping out better and better for me. Like with each different kind of profile, and yeah, this is easily like the file of
So, in Ethan and I calibrating on how we're going to cook, what these coffees are inherently, and then working with the Octopus Project, who's making the music, and asking, for their creative direction at the same time. We're looking for coffees that reflect an audio-visual component from them, and coffees that, from a sensory experience, reflect that audio and visual.
Yeah.
And so, you've had artists making art, trying to communicate with culinary, how to take that and interpret that into flavor, and then into packaging, and then into label and design, and aesthetic and feel, and then ultimately into visual, where they made the videoscape to watch while you're listening, and all these things. I mean, every single bit of this is calculated and planned and strategized, and it is absolutely like a full culinary project in that sense, and yet it's still just coffee. It's just what we drink every day, but the amount of intentionality that went into this release,
it was a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of variables to consider and choices to make.
Even just the desire to get out of your own bubble. Play nice with other roasters and other artists.
Well, people don't do that really. Like everyone gets this idea in their head that there's like a certain amount of the pie that needs to be split up, and it's bullshit. Like
We should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So Ethan and I.
No, please do. Thank you for saying that. I don't even know where that came from, but I love it.
So part of the goal of this release is that Ethan and I were trying to make some forward progress in this collaborativeness between coffee companies in Austin. Especially with the pandemic, and everybody's fighting for customers, and everybody's trying to make sure that they retain their customer base. We were trying to say, hey, like, we're going to like work together and sell this together. And demonstrate that there are tangible ways that a shop or roasters can even collaborate to create revenue and create customers,
create hype,
and elevate each other as well.
Right, and to some degree, I think it's important work right now because with the pandemic, everybody is in like absolute hunker down, protect myself, take care of myself mode, and I think that at a certain point, we have to remember this is a community project and that coffee is a community product. And I think putting two coffees in one bag and selling them, together it's more than just selling a product. You're selling an idea that we should be working together. We all succeed. And that's the way, like from paintings on the wall for sale at the cafe to like every band you've ever listened to that somebody in that band worked at a cafe. It's always supported the artistic community, and
coffee shops are full of musicians.
Absolutely.
As employees.
So it is really full circle, and I think it's saying a lot more than just, hey, here's this cool coffee, and they clipped some clippies to a plant and made some sounds. It's like, it's really about a message of a value. A value in this industry that's needed right now.
No, that's beautiful.
You got to show people that there's other ways.
I often get asked the question, like, why are you in the coffee industry? And my go-to answer tends to be because the coffee industry is not nearly as greedy exploitative as other industries that I've been in, and that's part of what draws me to it. But I feel like we're going off on a fun but bizarre tangent, and we do have a timeline, so I want to jump into. Actually, first, I want to hear more about the how the Octopus Project did their thing. If you can give us more insight into how that works.
Cool. So, I mean, music is vibration. It's time and vibration to create melody, right? The plant is alive and it is producing electricity. And so part of the sampling of that energy and conversion that plant is producing this energy, it's pulsing, it's vibrating, it's alive. What they did is they created MIDI data from that electricity. That MIDI data can be effectively played on any instrument. You can take MIDI data and you can take sampled drums, sampled bass, sampled guitar, sampled keyboards, and you can take that data and you can use that data to play through whatever instrument you want. And kind of coming back to our conversation about roaster differences, I mean, what makes a band is gear selection. It's tonality, it's choices. I mean, everything is choices. That's what makes you what you are. And I think what's really cool about this release is like this music sounds like the Octopus Project. It has the tonality of this band that's been around for 20 plus years. 20 plus years of making music in this town. And the tones and the sounds that we're listening to sound like the Octopus Project, yet the way that the rhythm and the melodies are being received are the natural expression of the plant.
It's the coffee spirit with the Octopus Project's choices.
Yeah. Absolutely. They're choosing where are the drums, where's the bass, where's the guitar. But what they're not choosing is what is the syncopation. What is
the rhythm,
the melody, and the pitch. That is not their choice. That is what the plant is doing. And what they're choosing is what do we interpret that energy into from a soundscape standpoint. Is that a drum, bass, guitar? Is that a synthesis? Really cool.
That's super cool. Yeah, that's so cool. That's Oh wait, did we lose?
Well, I know they work super hard on it, and interpreting the same electrical energy into ambience and chaos is like, you have to think about how many choices you have to make to take the same energy and the syncopation and say, I'm going to make this one put you to sleep and relax. I'm going to make this one stress you out. And it's the same energy. It's the same vibration, the same like frequency, and yet one is going to make you feel comfort and one's going to make you feel anxious. And that's what's so cool about it. I mean, they're pulling from the same data pool. Really shows you how frequency and those choices are what makes emotions.
Right?
Just how different a coffee can be depending on what you do with it as well.
Right. And that comes down to roaster tools, the roaster's history, roaster's experience, all that stuff's connected.
Awesome. I just think that it's super fun that you guys were able to pull that together and make it a thing. And I don't know. I've been listening to, I've been making this into a little ritual every morning. Get up, brew my coffee, and listen to the music while I'm brewing it. Do I want to feel relaxed, or do I want to feel stressed out?
Red Bull and vodka?
There we go. That's right. Slam those Red Bulls and vodka. All right, cool. Speaking of morning routines, what do you guys do for your morning coffee every day? I know I'm going to make some guesses and say that you guys enjoy trying something different most of the time. Playing around.
Mine's QC.
Yeah, mine's. I get coffee at the cafes. Yeah, I go to the cafe.
You're the cafe. I do at the roastery. I'm QCing all the time.
When I'm at the roastery, normally it's QC, but I come through. I roast at the cafe, so every time I come through the cafe, I make sure to. Normally, when I get here, I'll just grab a drip just to get alive, and then I start in on cupping. And
that sounds nice. My day starts with a roll of the dice. Did that thing I brewed on Tuesday taste good? Oh, this thing's gonna suck. This is not what I wanted. I start every day rolling dice. It's great. I did a good job. We're oh man, I really messed this up.
I always try to go to the cafe because they at least cover all my mistakes.
Yeah,
and they're oh, it tastes so good. When you guys make it, it tastes so right.
Yeah, every day is a wild card on whether or not that. I mean, yesterday sucked. Remember that?
Yesterday was bad coffee.
Yesterday I tried to brew both of us a cup in one V60, and I tried to brew like 18 ounces in a V60. It did not work. Did not work. Whole day sucked.
Change the grind. Nah.
Well, screw it. Let's brew a V60 right now. Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right.
You got the water?
Yeah. Let me set this up.
I'll walk them through the basics in case. I'm sure most of your folks are familiar with Best Made's pickles. That's our catch vessel. And if you're not familiar, this is a V60 here. Any cone dripper or drip coffee maker will make great coffee if you have decently filtered water
And a pink vessel.
and a pink pitcher.
That's key.
That helps immensely with coffee quality. Also, having I already did it.
I'm gonna do it again.
You're doing it.
Double rinse.
Yeah, double rinse.
Yeah, get at it. All right, yeah. So a nice wet filter will help because there's paper particles. You want to get those particles off. You also want to heat the vessel that you're pouring into as well as the vessel that you're going to brew into to keep temperature stability. I am a proponent that the grind is the most important thing. I actually prefer pre-ground coffee to shittily ground coffee at home.
Sure. Yeah.
I would rather have it ground at the cafe on a decent grinder. Even though you're going to lose a lot of aromatics, I feel like the overall extraction is more even, and the end product is a lot more balanced just by having a really consistent grind. So Ethan did this one on mortar and pestle.
I did it on an EK. My motor and pestle.
What's your brew ratio?
I'm gonna do. My standard is 30 in, 450 out. That's my go-to.
You like 30 in?
30 in. That's why I weighed out. It should be pre-weighed
No
too.
shit.
Yeah, it should be.
All right.
28, close enough.
Close enough. I'll do
It's
some
like
math.
1 to 15.
You
Yeah,
go
I
1
do
to
one.
15?
I do 1 to 15.
Well, here, it's a day of compromise. Let's do 1 to 15.7.
Heard it. All right, let's get 28.
28 times 15.7. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do 28 grams of coffee in your pre-wet filter to 400
It's
and
30 grams of coffee, wasn't it?
no, it's 28.
Okay.
28.
Yeah,
I end up a little bit
430.
short.
We do my math again. 439 grams of water.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it a little bloom first. All right, and we're gonna start our timer. I have a timer right here for people that are clocked in. Okay, here we go. For my bloom, I don't know about you guys, but for my bloom, I like on this one to stay under like 60 grams.
I do.
But the most important thing for me that I think a lot of people mess up on is they're too worried about what their bloom weighs and not about the coverage. Not the coverage of it. Like,
coverage is
Yeah.
your bloom, it's really important to make sure that you're getting the entire surface, even if that means maybe
You missed the spot.
what? Even if that means going over a little bit, or if you're under a little bit, the most important thing is like the point of the bloom is just to give off some gas so that your water is able to kind of wash the coffee a little bit more, and it doesn't have that barrier of gas.
Get everything wet.
So I also normally wait about a minute is like a good standard.
I'm gonna hold the timer so they can kind of see what's going on.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go. What am I going?
58 right now.
439.
You're going. 439. Yeah, 439.
439. My standard ratio, if people want an easy one, is 30 to 450.
People don't want it easy. They're watching this video.
Oh, that's true. It's probably all nerds that are going to be watching this.
If you're watching this and you wanted it easy, I think you came to the wrong place.
Yeah,
We're talking about coffee plant frequencies.
that's true. And then the tip with the V60 is just kind of moving your kettle around in the way that the kind of grooves go. Because the idea, like the reason why V60 is good is because it has like a really good drawdown. Because it has those nice ridges, your filter doesn't get stuck to it.
That's right there.
Wait, oh,
You
439.
nailed it.
I did nail it.
Yeah.
Bullseye, baby.
430,
get off
436.9, 439.6.
439.6.
I ended up at 442. Coffee's
Some
not
of
an
that's the
exact
wind.
science.
We're outside. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're outside
nailed
the
it.
wind.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the water in by about 2 minutes. So, but you continuously pour it for about a minute there, huh?
Yeah. I like going continuous. I don't know.
Nice.
I used to work at this V60 bar, and I used to have to make like 70 of these a day.
You ever do a double bloom?
A double bloom? I've done do 2 at once?
No.
Like,
bloom it twice.
yeah.
You ever done that?
Oh, I'm not a psycho. Why would I do
Hey, that's my standard.
That's great. Yeah, double off gassing. Really?
Yeah, I've done like some start and stop ones, but
Start and stop.
I haven't been able to figure out with the start and stop. I haven't been
All
able to find my
They
rhythm.
can't see, but all of our water is completely through the coffee bed by 2 minutes and 45
So this
seconds.
is a pretty quick extraction.
No,
on
I
this
love
one.
it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I like early finishes on a V60.
Yeah.
Under 3 minutes is ideal for me on a V6. Chemex, I like to go 3.5, 4, 5.
Sure. Yeah.
Longer times, but on a V60, I do prefer quicker drawdowns. So when you're dialing in your grinder, having a drawdown.
Yeah.
Personally,
I mean,
you make very clearly you're varying, but
I'd have to taste it, and also like I'm sitting down, so my kettle control isn't the best. My bed isn't. I don't know. I've been watching there's all these influencers on Instagram now
With
for pour over
What?
influencers. They've never worked in a cafe, and they're so specific about their stuff. Like it's crazy. And now I feel like I got to be like one of those. Like I got to have a big black book that I log everything in. And I don't know. For me, it's like I got my standard ratio, and then I just
how long is your drawdown?
Well, I mean, ideally, normally on my V60s, if I do like my 30 grams into my 450, I tend to like to sit around around between 3 and 3:30 for
Jesus, how do you get
total
to work
brew.
on time?
my total.
How do you wait so long for a cup of coffee?
I'm doing it for my job. That's how it is work.
Well, for those of us that have to be to work on time,
Yeah, we'll speed it up.
I like about 3 minutes on
Yeah.
the total extraction.
Yeah. I don't know. This smells great though.
Does it?
Like yeah,
Nice.
this is popping.
Smells like pickles.
It does.
Mm.
A little bit. Oh yes.
Pickle's my favorite.
It's got some nice like aromatics. I mean, like the whole thing is like if your drawdown's a little bit faster, maybe your cup is like just like a little bit more like balanced, maybe a little bit more sweet. Just keep holding this.
That's how long you've been talking.
That's how long I've been. But yeah,
So if you're at a cafe and you order a pour over, you get the coffee's done in 3, but he's still talking. It's almost 5 minutes. That's why you're late.
You're hanging around for a couple hours. Yeah, I got a line. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The thing about pour overs is like they're really forgiving and they're really fun. And if you have like a good coffee, you should be able to kind of play with it a couple of different ways on your different grind sizes and everything, and you always end up with a pretty good brew. It's hard to get like an amazing pour over. I think it takes a lot of like dialing in and a lot of playing with it. But I always find I always get something really good. But I also like being very active with the coffee, and I do like remembering and kind of going back and brewing it the same way. That was like the nice thing about being on that pour over bar. A lot was you get this really like intimate relationship with your coffees on a pour over, and you start getting really into the minutia of what you're doing, and now that I roast, I mostly just cup, so it's like mostly cupping is how I consume a lot of my caffeine, and that most objective I think way to taste coffee.
I mean, we live in that world, but most people don't. It's always interpreting that to the end consumer's experience.
Yeah. I would have liked it a little tighter. I think I would have popped the fruit. I think
A little bit.
if you do this, then people think you know what you're talking about. I would have gone a little. Probably
You
if I
gotta
were
do that,
to make
and
this.
you gotta have your little influencer black book. You gotta have both of those. You gotta have that.
Yeah.
It's a full package.
Yeah, the pink kettle.
And
That's
your
right. The
pickle
pink
jar.
kettle as
Yeah,
well.
the pickle jar is essential.
If you're really looking for homebrew tips, I think we've given you the gold right
That
there.
that
It's about
for real
what you put
is
it
the
into.
that's for real the tip, because everyone's out there buying $70 glass servers.
That's right. That's
and
right.
you don't have to
and
do
you
it
could just use your weekly pickle jar. Eat all your pickles
daily.
That's right. That's right. Save your money for the grinder, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, get a good grinder.
Get a good grinder.
Get a good grinder and play with it. Like,
That's still pretty good though.
yeah, it's definitely tasty. I went really heavy on this side of my bed.
Yeah. It's almost like you're doing it sitting down.
It was kind of like I was doing it sitting down.
A little bit like that. Well, cool. How do we support you guys? What do we do to help Spokesman and Try Hard do more cool shit?
Buy the coffee.
Buy the coffee. Go to the cafes.
And this particular coffee, you
fight
guys
each other.
are selling throughout the rest of the year, right?
No. We'll have one more roast of this coffee.
Yeah, this is
That's
on its end. Like, hurry up on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
So it's
one's
moved pretty
done
quickly.
and done.
Last time we talked, you were saying that you were going to have it for till the end of the year, but there was a limited supply.
No. So this one was a very, very special limited release.
Gotcha.
We're doing it again with different coffees.
Different coffee.
Oh yeah.
So the release is going through the year, but this set of coffees is done next week.
Yeah. It's
And then we're going to hit it with 2 other coffees, and we're switching teams. So Try Hard's going to do Chaos, Spokesman's going to do Ambient, and I won't even be using the same roasting machine. I'm using a different roaster to produce Chaos than the one we use in this batch. So it's going to be a whole nother.
It's a whole nother
completely
zone.
different approach to the same idea.
And also, I don't know if we want to spoil it, but the next one is they're from the same country.
They are. They're
Yeah,
from the
same
same
area.
producer.
Yeah, the same. Well, one I don't know if it's the same producer. We have to get the
The neighborhood. Well, same neighborhood. Same
yeah,
neighborhood.
and he
This
represents
Yeah, that-
represents like this other. Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting. Yeah, we're meeting him tonight. This is actually I think I don't know if you could call this is direct trade. I believe you could call this direct trade. The next one, I think technically.
I mean,
It's
if
a
Ernie
it's a
drives
fuzzy
it to
term.
the roastery-
It's a fuzzy term.
Yeah. If Ernie drives it to the roastery, we call it direct trade.
The coffee is going from my friend's farm to a warehouse to our roasteries.
It's kind of like semi-direct.
It's semi-direct.
Semi-direct.
Yeah.
Direct would have to go.
It's got to stop at a
straight
warehouse.
from farm.
Yeah.
I think you guys are in the clear. I think the vast majority of places would consider that direct trade.
Yeah, most people.
Even if it's getting
people
split
with lower
off, even if
standards.
the importer is sharing.
Yeah.
People that like to put labels on bags may consider, but I like to
Yeah.
see it go directly from farm
Yeah.
to roaster.
Yeah.
No warehouses in between.
No warehouses. Directly into the roaster.
No, I've given up on
Carry
all
by
of the
hand.
different marketing
Yeah.
terms. They're all devoid
Yeah.
of meaning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing I think that everyone needs to learn is that this coffee didn't touch a lot of people's hands, and this is our homie's coffee. So like, this is coming straight from the homie to us.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's like, you don't really
Part two.
Yeah. Part 2 is going to be that. And
Or
like,
volume 2. I guess.
I don't know if it's volume or side 2.
Yeah, side B.
Side B.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
side
that
B.
is the most
I'd be. That's the way to go.
Yeah, but this one's gonna be really cool. I really love this guy's like one of my favorite producers. I was telling them like last time I went down to see him, he took 8th in the Cup of Excellence. So I mean,
Oh shit. Okay.
he took 8th, yeah. I mean,
Hey, so that's I was gonna cut us off, but that's a topic that I definitely want to explore. How do you guys go about doing your sourcing? How do you find these guys?
me,
Or different.
me,
We
it's
approach different.
I talk to my thing, and I try to pay attention to what every cafe has in the city, and I try to make my selections kind of a little bit different, and I try to get as close as I can get to the people that are making it.
Sure.
And I try to make sure that I am calibrated with the kind of quality of the rest of the city. I mean, what other people are doing informs my buying just as much as my own idea of what coffee is, you know. So it's really important for me to stay active and see what people have and talk to different roasteries and kind of try to buy a little bit different and
Absolutely.
try to kind of not pigeonhole what I'm doing and not kind of get stuck in a certain style or a certain zone, and you know,
Right.
take coffee for what it is. You know, you have to cup it and you have to taste it. Oh, we're on a live stream. Sweet. Love-a-ramics.
I approach it a little differently. So, being an owner roaster, I have a little bit more control over buying. You know, you have to be.
I do all the selection.
No, but I meant like fiscally.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like it's my neck on the line if I make a bad call. Like,
sure,
I
yeah. I have a couple buffers.
You got a few layers of diffusion,
it's nice,
and that's not a bad thing.
I like
that's
it.
Not a
yeah,
bad
it's less stress.
It is very stressful. When I buy coffee, I cry a little bit because so much of my money has been tucked into a green bean that could potentially go horribly wrong before I cook it.
Yeah.
But I do what's called long-term contracts, and so the majority of my coffees are. I have 4-year contracts on our 4 highest selling coffees. What that affords me is the opportunity to get microlots from those cooperative regions, and I get first right of refusal on all of these really special coffees where maybe they only produce 2 35-kilo bags.
Oh, nice.
Actually, the El Salvador that I'm roasting is an example of that. The Cholezos cooperative, the El Salvador that I'm using in the Sound of Coffee is a coffee that was only available because we buy their entire main production lot and use that in our espresso blend. So we get access to these really limited runs of coffees that no one else is going to have ever. Yeah. And so that's been my approach is...
Well, that's the importance of relationships.
It's relationships, but it's fiscal commitment. As much as it is like, hey, I like you.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, like I have signed a 4-year agreement to pay you this much money this year, this much money next year, this much money the following year. And for me as an owner, like I am on the hook to pay you that much money, irregardless of whether the quality comes through.
Yeah.
Because my contracts aren't stipulated based on point score; they're stipulated based on cooperative. So I take a pretty big risk that that coffee could land. And I could be not stoked on it, and I'm still legally obligated to pay for it. I've learned that technique from Counterculture and a lot of other big roasters who... Huh?
That's the burden of dealing with futures contracts, which is pretty standard in agricultural stuff.
Yeah, so Try Hard takes that approach, even though we're not a big company. We're small. I mean, Spokesman is probably roasting more coffee than we are, I imagine.
I don't know.
With 3 locations, like, y'all are crushing it. But... for me, like I think that my definition of stability and long-term sustainability in the industry is both topsoil and climate change and relationships. And it's also fiscal and saying, hey, like, here's my, $800,000 committed to you over the next 4 years. You know that the entire production lot has been sold next year.
Make it
so
good.
You can make it good, but you can also upgrade your farm knowing that you sold your entire lot before you've even made it. Like to me, one roaster. I'm going to buy everything that you're going to make next year. And so what's been cool about that is that they know for 4 years we've sold our entire lot to this one company. And so they can go to the bank and say, look, we've got a 4-year contract on this lot. We'd love to upgrade our drying equipment or raise beds if you don't have it. And these are the types of things that make coffee sustainable long term.
It makes it better.
It makes it better. And not every roaster is in a position to do that. And I have worked for roasteries that were not. The majority of my career, most roasters I've worked for were not willing or able to do long-term contracts because it is fiscally challenging. Like you're not a big enough company to absorb damages.
Yeah.
Is he talking? Yeah.
No, you guys are good. I just had some kids rush in the door, so we'll have to wrap it up in a second. But I'm over here thinking like I want to continue this conversation for like 3 hours. So we will have to wrap it up.
Well, we're going to Yellow Jacket.
We'll meet you at Yellow Jacket.
You're muted. I don't know what the phone is.
That stopped working ages ago. You're muted.
Just not.
I don't know if you're muted or not.
I was muted. Thank you. I was just saying we've got some tiny humans that are going to come in and cause a lot of chaos rather than ambience. So let's go ahead and quickly wrap it up. Are there any parting thoughts you guys have?
Yeah, plug it.
That's right. Quick little plug. Any parting thoughts that you have?
I don't know. Come through the cafe. Hang out in cafes more. Buy coffee from good places. Don't buy shitty stuff. And be good.
Costco's on the shitty list, right?
I don't know. I can't afford a membership.
You can't even pay to get in the door.
Yeah,
So.
I can't even pay the cover charge.
No, they're definitely on the shit list.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
Next to the bakery, they have a stage and they have bands every day,
Yeah.
live bands.
They do good stuff, and you know what? Stay subscribed to Tespresso, because then you're guaranteed to get great coffee
The good shit.
every month.
Look at this, mutual plugs all around. I love it. All right, cool, y'all. Well, thank you for joining. If you want to stay on for like 2 seconds after I end this, we can chat some more. But yeah, seriously, thank you for everything that you do. Thanks for joining us on this stream. And, you know, it's mutual. Keep doing the good work. Oh, you want to say hi? All right, we're going to get one tiny human who's going to interrupt.
Bye.
He said, oh, there's a little buddy.
Okay. Hi.
I guess we can throw one of ours in.
Ours.
Hi. Oh, hello. All right. Okay. We're wrapping it up. I'm going to end it here. Thank you. Thank you. Enjoy your sound of coffee. If you want links to the music, you should have received an email this morning. If not, hit me up. I'll take care of you. I really enjoy listening to music while drinking this phenomenal coffee. And love it. Spokesman and Try Hard and doing. Have a wonderful day. Stay caffeinated.
Fraction over here.